Hi friends, it's your art teacher, Miss Barnett. And this week we've been talking about how artists use proportion to draw the body. Last week we learned about drawing the face in proportion. And what we're going to do today is we're going to have a model. So someone at your house or someone in the classroom can be your model. Or if that's not available to you, you can always do a Google search. I would search bodies in motion or maybe your favorite athlete doing something. I'm going to show you an example of that in just a little bit. And I want you to remember back what I just showed you in one of the earlier videos on this lesson where I talked about the proportions of the body being equal from the shoulders to the waist and the waist to the knees and then the knees to the feet. So we're going to think about that proportion and making spaces, and you're going to draw somebody in action, and I want you to show the movement or the bends in the joints. So think about where our bodies move. We move at our shoulders, we move at our elbows, our wrists, our hips can move, our knees can move, and our ankles and feet can move. So all of those places we're going to have to pay really close attention to during our project today. And I think from that, if you follow along with me and you follow my directions, you're going to do great. So let's get started. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser if you don't have one that's big enough on the end of your pencil, and just a sheet of paper. So very simple materials today, and we're going to get started. So here we go. All right, friends, so I have my materials in front of me. I have my paper, my pencil, my eraser, and I have my reference image. So I picked this one because every part of her body is in motion or is in movement except for, or is bending. So I think it'll be a really fun one to catch, and I can show you lots of different ways that the body moves. So I want you to think about when you're looking at this and you're looking at your picture, the proportions like I just talked about. So if we're looking at her proportions here, I'm going to use my pencil to measure like we did in the last episode. I can see if I take my pencil and I measure from her foot to her knee, it's about that long. Guess what? It's about that long from her knee to her hip. Not quite, but it's close. Then from her hip to her shoulder, it's the same length. And then her head in this one is a little bit shorter, so it's a little bit less. So, and then I can look at the length of her arms. Her arm is about the same length as her, is a little bit longer than her torso. It's going to come just about to her knee here. And then this hand is going to line up with this foot. So take a moment and look at your photo or your person and kind of measure them the way that artists do that from far away. You might have seen people do this in videos. They'll hold, let me show you, hold on. So you might have seen artists in like films or on TV shows. You'll see them doing this kind of thing where they'll take their thumb and they'll have one eye closed and then they'll be gauging or pushing their thumb up and down the pencil. What they're doing is measuring, just like I did on that photo or on my iPad, on my iPhone screen with the pencil. So if you're drawing someone real life in front of you, you can close your eyes and kind of hold your pencil out. So this is kind of lining up with my eyeball. It doesn't quite look at it, but when I look at it, it does. And then I can, okay, let's see, I'm going to measure the length of my iPad screen since that's what's right in front of me. I could go down and go, okay, so it's about this long proportionally, and then I could do the same thing with the width. So if you ever see artists doing this, that's what they're doing. They're just measuring with their pencil to get their proportion right. So now you know something new, and you got a new little trick that you can do with your pencil when you're drawing something in real life. Hope you have fun with that skill. All right, friends, so we've done our measuring. We have kind of figured out the proportions in this picture, and I'm going to start sketching. So remember, if you want to have less control of your pencil, you want to make a lighter mark, you're going to hold it further down the pencil. This is normal control for an artist, and this is very tight control. So if you want to make a darker line or have a lot more pressure, I would hold it down here. But most artists hold it here, and I like to start from holding it from the back. So let's get started. I'm going to start with just the ground line so she has a place to stand. And I might just start by putting in the direction lines here. So her shoulders They're kind of angled and a diagonal this way. And then I can think about her spine coming out. It's arched. Then her hips are angling this way. Her one leg is going down. It's kind of coming out a little bit more. Remember, drawing light so you get it right. So that's this first leg done. And then I can come down here. Her leg is coming from about this direction, up, and then her foot is kicked out. And here's that other foot. Then her head is right about there. This leg is coming, arm is coming straight down. There's her hand, and then here's this back hand. Now I've got the motion down, and I've got the line placement and the rounded parts of our body, which are our hands, our feet, and our head. Now I'm going to start building up what I actually see and looking at the outlines of the shapes. So I'm going to do a little bit with you, and then I'm going to speed up my tape so you can watch me work a little bit quicker. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to look at the outline of this leg. Maybe I'm going to start with the hip here. So that'll give me a good place to divide the space. And her jacket kind of comes out in this kind of puffy kind of way, and then this part comes back. Then her bottom comes this way, and her thigh comes down, and then her calf comes out. Now look, I'm noticing here, oops, didn't make her leg quite long enough. So let's look, and this is coming up a little bit too high. So her leg doesn't have quite that much. So I'm sketching, I'm just adjusting as I go. Doesn't have to be perfect, and I don't expect yours to be perfect. Let's make that line in a little bit. So you see, I'm like, oh, I put a line down, but it's not quite right. I'm gonna go back in and just adjust it. I think her leg comes out a little bit further here. Just looking at the shapes. So let's measure from here to here. Yeah, if I put that shoe in, it's going to be pretty close. Good deal. So there's that first leg done. I can come in and I can erase this line because it's no longer necessary. Then let's work on the shape of this leg. So this comes in a little bit further and further from the jacket. Are these about the same width? Yeah, that's about the same length, so that proportion is right between the legs. She's got this bend right here, and then it comes down. Now, I think I'm going to change the length, the height of this ground line where the grass is, because look, I'm not giving her enough space. This is why it's so important that we draw lightly before we really press and commit to where things are on the paper. And then she's got kind of a curved line. It kind of comes down and it curves. Let's check the proportion. I think that's about right once I add the shoe. Come in and erase this line. Beautiful. So I've got the shape, the contour line, the outline of her bottom half. Let's work on the top half. So I know that this hand comes a little bit higher than this. It's about level actually with this knee. I'm going to, there's a curve line where her sleeve meets her wrist. I'm just going to let that line kind of, she's a little bit thinner here than I'm giving. Arms a little bit thinner than I'm giving her credit for. Aha, see, I was thinking this didn't look quite right. I've made the shoulders too wide. So this part right here was too wide across, so I'm going to adjust. I drew it light, so look, it came right off my paper. And then her hair, since I can't see most of her shirt, I'm just going to sketch in the shape of her hair. Comes all the way down. So maybe you can even capture the movement of the hair in your picture, and then this part kind of flows upwards, kind of like a cascade. I'm just worrying about getting the outline of the shape, not making it perfect. I can come back in and do that in a little bit. I can start adding more details as we go through this. Okay. I don't see the back of her head, so I can erase because you can't see through hair. And then this front part of her hair kind of comes out like this. Her face is a little bit more this way. Okay, her jacket comes down. I see it's kind of this like polygon shape. Just got a little bit of hair coming through here. And there's that shoulder. So look how far off I was. I thought the shoulder was here, but really that's where this end of this hair is. Her shoulder is way over here. So don't be afraid of adjusting your drawing to make it better. You know, you might go, oh man, I put all this work into this drawing and now I'm gonna have to erase a bunch of it. But it's gonna be so much better if you just fix the mistake that you found than just trying to ignore it. Okay, let's get this last arm. You kind of just barely see it through her hair. Kind of comes back about here. So we want to make sure that the shoulders start and stop at the same level. So use your eraser or your pencil to make sure you're putting it at a straight line. I mean, this is a diagonal, but it's still a straight line. And then put this last hand in. I don't see a lot of her fingers, so I'm not going to worry about putting a lot of detail into that hand because it's kind of covered up. And then she's got this finger kind of crooking back. Okay. All right, so there is the outline of my figure. Now I'm going to start working on putting in a little bit more detail, not a lot, just like where things are on her. Put her face in, put in like the lines on her socks, and I'll be finished. So I'm going to speed up the tape so you can follow along. All right, friends, here's my completed sketch of my person in proportion and in motion. I showed the joints bending where they were, and I captured the motion, and I did my best. You do your best, forget the rest, and I hope you have fun working on this, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.